This is a harmonic beat.
Hell's hot, but get cold when it's winter. My earth takes a break, quake cities off the cliff, down deep sea into mountain, continental shift. The continent could drown or rip. There's more, think not. You don't know what I'm into, where I'm at. It's all in the mental, smack all instrumental around me. It's all about my circle squared up, for my nature, fear not. Love bravely, I'm out. I didn't make her, she made me to create the world. The home she in, shape her skin, contain her frame, no minor. She a major win, angel and grew up educated on the demons, baby scaly wings, angel paper bullshit, the motherfucker that. Got nothing to back, Negro black colored, on the chopping block, still on the block, chopping whatever they rap, rob, recover the chop, the world's shaking. Still my words, just take it in, hear me speaking out your ear holes. How can you retain a quote? Stop, your brains bang, shot, but still you won't crow. Commander in chief, masters turn sheep at the battle. The state chattel to eat, and wolf from my white beats. The times a werewolf, they attack me and turn food towards the garden. Let water make a black sea. Black bill, black coat, black blues. Black face, black ball, black shoes. Black bill, black cheese, black news. No such thing as black man. Black bill, black coat, black blues. Black face, black ball, black shoes. Black bill, black cheese, black news. But no such thing as a black man. Roses all red, green, gun copper shot, pop, bust, and he left, didn't leave no weeds, no seeds. I'm his skull and his backbone ripped with his voice tone. Moms are saying a heartbeat, consanguinity though. Constant board bites, I'm a civil. I get you with my pen, no more dog fights and scribbles. Enforcing treaties, I'm a caustic greedy, dressed in costumes to greet me. You think you know how this gon' end? Really? Show the beginning. Apocalypse now, the dead don't know about the living. And why I can't kill them, and why I try to lift them. Stand, more mass don't make you a bigger man. It's mental. Just keep on. Black man, black coat, black blues. Black face, black ball, black shoes. Black pill, black jeans, black news. No such thing as black man. Black pill, black coat, black blues. Black face, black ball, black shoes. Black pill, black jeans, black news. But no such thing as a black man.
You sat down and you attacked the master teacher because you thought you heard something that you didn't hear. That's the first violation. You don't come in. First of all, you come in and you act like you come in peace, but you don't. You got an agenda.
Moors of men upright, independent and fearless. Dogmatized, dirty Moors, tongues cut out and left earless. Cause they never listen. Dirty Moors, keep up your slander. Wu-Tang torture in your ass, hot hangers. Kidnappers, dirty Moor, torture him like Saw. 3D, 0.5 or 1 through 4. Or get it like 5 or 6 with a fez on jigsaw. Leather face in a turban, rip dirty Moors lips off. Disrespecting the mother Raz Mariah Bay. Wrap him up like double crochet, the barbed wire away. Throw them off a bridge or feed them to the piranhas. Yellow journalists more spread nothing but propaganda. Idi Amin bait, treat the temple like Uganda. Dirty Moors like foreigners, crush the dust like ganja. Not worthy of being Moors, we call them dirty Nehesus. Solomon Seal spell command 72 demons to get you.
This is what the temple guys actually said. that Canaanland is not a part of North America. Canaanland is bigger. Yo, it's ignorant, man. I mean, come on, you're talking about the same land, man. Canaanland is actually bigger than the landmass they know is the corporate United States. Almost twice as big. And if they had any sense, they could just go to Google and they can type in North America and find out North America goes all the way up to Greenland. But they're ignorant. They don't want to do that. They just dealing off emotion.
You might hear hoarse voices, see frog faces, and who's feet. Demons we run with, spit fire with gold wolf teeth. Keep playing, forget back teeth. New mores are an issue. Get Ginsu. Maybe a dream visit from Vishnu, a nightmare to never end and always continue. Cold as an igloo, dealing with my trust issues through vigilance. Active mores are militants. SPLC dirty mores call that sovereign citizen. Lying for views. They notice all the MCQs. Benz need gas and fixing, but not enough dues. Pigpen base sell you out for peanuts, claiming that we nuts for teaching birthright street level, keeping it beat nuts.
To any members of the MSTA that's out there listening to what I'm saying, please get it through your head. I don't have a problem with the MSTA. I got issues with
the case of Lamar, space surrounded by feathers. Dirt is guilty of fraud if duly scrutinize their ledgers. Getting proclamations from Morocco, disrespect us. Corporate city only recognize people's court jesters. Hand in their back, Moorish puppets and minions. Never get the human rights recognition like Moors near Virginia. Commonwealth, for active Moors knowledge, the Commonwealth. 30s claim more, but really on the straw man help. Authenticating a birth certificate, that's not significant. Civil little more two status syndicates. In more face, watch them two more status Indians claiming Turtle Island are lying, so intricate.
long days and long nights. But this message needed to be heard.
Islam. Yo. Yeah. I'm going right now. Yeah, it's probably gonna be backlogged a bit. But yeah, I'm starting up right now. All right. Islam, Morris. Sun rise and face the east. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Islam. Our letters to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement. Well, national in there, This is a holy and divine movement. No national is in there. This is a holy and divine movement. That's why you don't need the card. You're showing cards to Europeans. It's not about cards. This is holy and divine. And this is the stuff laid out that he said is supposed to be read every meeting, which means this must be the law that he's laying down. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. So what about you heard something about Grand Sheik or whatever? Is the prophet right? Check the prophet. Let that be your mark. Use Grand whoever as your mark to judge what a Moor is. How a Moor is supposed to be. Act. Don't use Grand whoever or title whoever as the benchmark. Use the prophet. He said so. Not because Grand Sheik said. If the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is therefore sending out a divine plea. Sorry, the prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans, to all, A-L-L, all Moorish Americans, that they do their part. Forget what anybody else is doing. What part are you playing for this Moorish movement? Everybody should just have the mirror right now. Ask that guy. How much things did I do for the Moorish Science Temple? How much things did I do for the Moorish movement? How much things did I do for Great Seal? How much things did I do for Canaanland Moors? How much things did I do just for a Moor who's out there that knows that they're a Moor? What about anybody else? Check the mirror. Are you part of they that are doing their part in protecting their prophet and the temple? Or are you just one of the people who, you're not turning the fez, you're not turning the button. You still pretend like you're a Moor, but you're not for the Moors. You're for something else. This is an everlasting movement. So we don't care what people want to do and say and whatever. This is everlasting, according to Noble Drew Ali. No matter what. There's still going to be Moors. If temple closes tomorrow, there's still going to be Moors. If somebody goes and some popular international television jurisdiction and burns the Moroccan flag or whatever, there's still going to be Moors. Because this is everlasting. Because this is holy and divine. It's not just merely divine and national because we want to exercise rights. And all the holy and divine Moors, they already know what's up. We're waiting for people to realize what's up. I'm more frustrated because they know that they can't be active as an individual. Yes, some stuff will work because this is everlasting and divine and holy, but it's supposed to be like that for everybody. Everybody's supposed to get K9 Bay treatment without the 6 months. You get kidnapped, get let out the back door. Don't worry about it. Sorry about that. We know about you guys. It's okay. We just have to make the stuff look like we're doing something. But this is everlasting and holy and divine before it's national. According to the stuff that Drew Ali said, read every meeting, and we wouldn't even knew that there was this letter. If Moors didn't talk about this letter. You know, there's a letter the man said, read every meeting.
And you go check YouTube for the past how much years that we've been doing classes. Find me how many Moors read their stuff that's supposed to be read every meeting. They're telling you about some claim, some birth certificate or whatever. Then I read the letters, but they're saying they're Moors. These are the same people who didn't turn in their turban and fez playing around with this. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. He knew we needed it. He brought everything for us. Bow on it and everything. We were playing around. You know what type of sacrifices Moors are making so that there's a temple that they're putting on them. They're not putting it like they're putting it on themselves. Many Moors don't even know about that, because as Grand Sheik, I build with all Moors, and it doesn't matter what jurisdiction. I build with all Moors, and all Moors build with the Grand Sheik. They don't play with it. They build with the Grand Sheik. And whoever that's out there, that's in whatever YouTube land that you think they got some knowledge for you or whatever, I'll send you to some of these Moors, and you think these Moors are the Prophet. Because as GS, it's just automatic that you're going to connect with Moors from all over, because certain Moors don't take this light. They really see this as their government. They really see this as your Grand Sheik or assistant Grand Sheik or whoever. They put their autograph on my stuff. Like, this is frame, put it on the wall. Just because it's Moorish. And they're looking at this from the perspective of the Prophet. They're not looking at this as some club or join something or whatever. They're telling you there's Moors that you don't know about. That there wouldn't be a temple if it wasn't for these Moors. Forget Grand Sheik did something. You don't even see these Moors. Just because they realize that Canaanland is about the Prophet and what he brought, and making sure the stuffs get read every meeting so we never, ever forget what these people did. Have us in the conditions that we are today. Everybody's sending me some BS about Vlad TV, had some guy on there, and he's talking about the same stuff Moore's been talking about. What are you talking about? We've been telling you that. Because Vlad, the YouTube snitch guy, said something. Now you guys are riding on something. Been telling you what that dude been telling you. Who the hell he is. Because I entertained him over there. Everybody's sending me some BS. Like, but, so then why don't you get on, so what's up? Why don't you support it then now? If the guy on Vlad TV is going to tell you that the reason why the black guys got shot is because they don't have a nationality and they call themselves black, and we've been telling you that, then he's mainstream. Whoever the hell he is, I don't know who he is. Never heard of him ever in my life. But he's talking all Morris talk. And you're telling me that we're wasting our time? That you shouldn't support this? And on top of that, Noble Drew Ali told you better support this? He'll go in your own pockets. You think you got problems? That's because you didn't put your finance in the temple. If you did like Noble Drew Ali said, and instead of him making the money burn in your pocket, give it to the temple, you wouldn't have problems. People think it's because of non-activity. Why GS doesn't have problems. GS puts everything to the temple. I go to the slave to get finance to put in the temple. Once I got a roof, I'm straight. Food's anywhere. I know 5 principles catering. Food ain't no issue. Because I read what this man put down. And what he laid down wasn't for the faint of heart. So if the faint of heart people, take off the turban and the fez, go back to the state where the prophet found you. Not what Kudro said. This is Noble Drew Ali said. And those who are faithful and loyal to this, you keep being faithful and loyal to this, and you'll see what you're going to get. Because this is holy and divine and everlasting. I'm going to get to you one sec, boy. To be proclaimed at every meeting. I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. Well, they got fezzes on and turbans on, and they're telling you about some BS that has absolutely nothing to do with you or Moors or Noble Drew Ali or whatever, but they're Moors though, because they got a fez on and they got a turban on. But this is only a joke to them. Because if they were serious about their prophet and their temple, they would be supporting this just like they support their Job. Just like you take your, routine serious to make sure that clocks punch so you can get the check. The same way you should be clock punching to make sure you have time for meetings. Same thing, you clock punch so that at the end of how much ever time you have some finance that you're just giving to your nation. Think that's not what the Asians are doing? Think that's not what the Turks and whoever else is doing? And all this because we didn't follow what the prophet said. We followed the people who propagated the host of jealousy against him and parade them around. When these people had the stuff that was supposed to be read every meeting, and they just put that to the side. Giving up your own birthright. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth, like we said, we went to the corporate jurisdiction, Toronto, whatever. We need a proclamation for Noble Drew Ali Day. They said, we can't do that, but we already have an indigenous proclamation right here. So if you want that, you could use that as your proclamation, whatever. Don't think they're not back in January 8th because they didn't say it's a Moorish whatever. They didn't say anything about we have to use it for that date that's on that. They said we have a proclamation that backs your claim. So if they're agreeing that Moors are indigenous and they're the corporate jurisdiction, Toronto, or whatever. And a Moor right now, even though he's in their jurisdiction, in the beast, he's in there as a Moor. And they're calling him Bey. And they're making sure he's getting his kosher meals or whatever like that. And he has his time where people could come to his cell and they could have class and all this type of stuff. And chaplains calling me and we're talking about Morris Shine's temple and Noble Drew Ali and really, and could you send me some more stuff because we really want, them to get this in there. But they're not doing us like NOI and giving us no 50 million grant to be in the prison. Because this is about birthright. We're not playing the corporate BS because we're a religious corporation. This is about humanitarian work. Most chaplains call me just to get a Quran in a jail. Why? You think they don't know? Why would Moors be able to go to these people and say, if I can't wear my fez, give me a cloth so I can make my turban. And they go get cloth. Clean cloth from wherever they get it from. Everybody else's stuff is BS. They give them some clean cloth so they can do their turban. So since you have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only soul salvation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify him. So they may take charge of your liberation or situation. No, you're supposed to take charge of it because he also told us that the priesthood is dead. So don't even be relying on Grand Sheik. You better know your stuff. You better be a Grand Sheik yourself and support the movement. In your own realm, you're the Grand Sheik of that realm. And that's supposed to be supporting the Moorish movement. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors, honors to all the faithful Moors, that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. Your divine Moorish movement. Your. Not the person next to you. Not the person that you go on some screen and they got some badge that makes them the whatever. You're supposed to have your own badge. Because that's your sovereignty that the title guys have. Not theirs or ours. Because we're the Grand Sheik. We're the one that you have to. No, that's your paperwork that you wrote. We're just verifying it. We're just confirming that, yeah, everything he says is what it is. That means that it's not my stuff. It's yours. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present. So I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. Right, which is always, always goes back to not just talking to members only. He's always talking to Asiatics. He's also talking to faithful members and truthful members. And there's many different jurisdictions that he's sending this message to. Which one are you, and are you receiving the message? Never before have I needed finance so badly. Remember, this is at the time they have manufacturing companies and all that. What do you need finance for if stuff is running like that? Something had to have happened. And this is where it comes into Noble Drew Ali coming back. And then all his stuff is thrown out the temple. And then murder charges up on him. And then he's kidnapped. Then he's released. And then he's died. And then that's it for Morris Science Temple. Now we just have these riffraffs running it. Thinking that they have some credibility. When them and all the other black leaders are responsible. Why? It was through jealousy because of his fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without the prophet being the head. And the only way a lot of these people get recognized is through some registration, whatever, to some corporate jurisdiction that are inquisitionists that they even shouldn't even be doing anything with. But it's okay because the public's dumb. They don't study. They don't know law. They don't know astrology. They don't know any of the liberal arts or anything about sciences. So they suffer. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Now, before we deal with anything, now we got this email from Chronomaster. And part of this meeting is to make clear some things that people might be confused about, which I don't know how they could be confused about, but we'll go over this again. Now the response here, I'm not a European, what kind of insult and all that type of stuff, is because this individual messaged me that they lost their naturalization papers. So because they said naturalization, my perspective is that they're European, because only a European that knows about Moorish or whatever would talk from that perspective. We got mad or whatever. And he wanted to get pointed in the direction of someone who is not a fraud or that will waste his time, because Amari Bey was the last person he spoke to, and he can't reach Brother Bey, and the timeline he put there is from 2017. Now this is March 21st, 2019. Now, that's 2 years. So you're telling me 2017 you got some papers or whatever, and it took you 2 years? It took you 2 years to send an email to an email that we had longer than 2 years to tell me some BS about where's your paperwork. Now, you're claiming that you completed your paperwork, but in the previous email, which I'm not going to show because your number's there, and I know how these people like to get with their BS. So I'm not going to show that email because the individual's number is in that part of the email that has the statement that he lost his paperwork. How can I help him get it back? Now he's sending something talking about he completed some paperwork. So there's multiple things going on here already. I already have, spidey senses going off already, because I'm GS, 10 years. I don't do the BS. Our jurisdiction teaches we do not sell paperwork. Why? Because we come from the Moorish Heritage and History School, where this is nationality and birthrights. We are from the Moors Order of the Round Table School, that this is about nationality and birthrights. We are from the Clock of Destiny School, that this is about nationality and birthrights. We are from the Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs School. This is nationality and birthrights. Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Divine National Movement. This is always and only about nationality and birthrights. This is not about selling anything. And if we are selling anything, it's something that you're leaving with. If we're selling something. Now, a servant is worthy of hire if they're providing a service. We have a building that has certain expenses. We're providing a service. You get donations sometimes. Sometimes we sell stuff. But ain't nobody getting paid or whatever. Everybody's doing volunteer work. Nobody's getting paid from any finance that comes into Moorish Science Temple. Nobody. And again, we don't teach, well, I'm a Moor, so I can go over here and sell you a book that you can go to the temple and get and say that I'm supporting whatever. No, it doesn't work like that. Now, 2 years to say Amari Bay is the last person that you spoke to. In June, we put out whole email list. People emailing me back, why are you sending me emails to this email and all this type of BS that people don't know that I have to deal with. Sending back BS just because we're putting out a notice and they're on the email list. I don't care if you weren't around here for 5 years. Your name is on the email list. How come you didn't say take it off? So get the hell out of here. We put it out there. Do not send any finance to Amari Bay. This is June. He stepped down as secretary. He's not handling anything to do with finance. Morris went out, don't know what they're doing, setting up new Gmail accounts and all this type of stuff. Setting up PayPal so that stuff could run proper. Now, you don't have to deal with certain things. Because someone's stepping down, then that means no contact with them with regards to what they were doing before. They stepped down. So what you contacting them about some finance? These are for the people after who might have sent finance. That finance went, we don't know if it got received or whatever, because it wasn't sent to us because that individual stepped down. And we put it out there that was the case. So anybody who's trying to pull this BS that they're pulling from last June to now, you're full of BS. Because why would you send him finance if he stepped down? So we told you, send any finance for the Moore Science Temple. Dues, donations, whatever. Do not send it to Kudrow's email through culturaleducators@gmail.com for any type of financial, PayPal, whatever. That's the email to use. Any finance, don't send it there anymore. Do not send to Sean Ham at Hotmail. Do not send to Amari Bay because they don't handle finance anymore. All finance is going to be sent to mstofa.dofornation7@gmail.com. mstofa.dofornation@gmail.com. Don't send any finance anywhere else. If you want some Kudrow music or whatever, you go online. You're going to willofalah.com. So that's already going to whatever it's going to. That has nothing to do with temple. That has nothing to do with whatever. If you have a personal donation, as Moors have had, they call me personally on the phone. No thanks for the work that you're doing. I don't want to give you a donation. Which I still take and it goes right back into the temple anyways. Because I have a slave I go on. I already get some compensation. I don't need to hustle my people. I don't hustle my people for. To get what? A measly 300 or something like that? To get a $5,000 to do what? Buy some fur coat or something? Buy some bottles? So he wants his paperwork that he paid for, $370. $370. I never saw no $370. Nobody else ever saw any $370 that this guy is talking about. Because again, we don't do finance for papers. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. And I'm not letting people try to play like they can say, well, because he was the secretary of the whatever, then you're responsible. No, you're dumbass responsible, because why are you sending finance? And why is it taking you 2 years to say something? Why didn't you say something a month after you sent the 300? You're talking about 2 years ago, and you want something back? The hell out of here. That's not the kind of shit that we run. And we put that on the record, which is why I said I'm not even gonna let myself talk, because people are gonna start talking to me as a grand chief, whatever. So they get somebody from outside of the jurisdiction. Somebody outside the jurisdiction. So they can tell you why Canaanland Moors, why they support on the level that they support. Silent partner, people you don't even know about. The reason why we have a temple right now, because of these people. And they realize that, hey, I gotta take all the props, I gotta put it back on you. Because this is about humility. It's not about some ego tripping, because we know that we're Moors and we could get in the ride and, just travel. So I'm gonna sell these plates that I got. No, he's not gonna do that. So this is for individuals that are out there getting information. People who are already in this, they already know what's up. Right? We don't do sell stuff. Anything you hear about from Canaanland Moors, because there's imposter Canaanland Moors right now that are in BC, pretending that they're Canaanland Moors. They just came about yesterday saying that they're Canaanland Moors, and then people in Canaanland are going to them. They just came yesterday. What do you mean that they're Canaanland Moors? From the jump, we've been Canaanland Moors. Nobody was Canaanland Moors before us being Canaanland Moors. There's nothing about Moors before us talking about Moors. Only one group of people had anything to do with Moors, and that was One Love Foundation in 2004 or something. When they brought Umar Shabazz here. Umar Shabazz Bey of the Washita, with his book, We Are the Washita, to promote the book. Other than that, ain't nothing was here called Moors. And then even those people, they went and did that. They repped it so hard that they knew about Moors. But then now we're saying that we're Moors, and then they're not supporting. What do you mean? You brought Umar Bey here. How are you not supporting on the real level? But all the black whatever support that forever. That's why we give honors to people who say that they're Moors and they stand on this for real. Because those are the people who realize that this is not about some club or joining up to something. People who know that this is about nationhood. No man is an island. This is about nationhood. People are going to tell you that, well, I gave finance to Amari El Bay, so Canaanland Moors are a fraud, and then we're going to go let the Empress of the whoever know so she could put you guys on blast. And people say that they're Empress yesterday. Where were these people in 2008 when we were around here? Where are they at? Nowhere to be found. All these pop-up scholars. We don't do sell stuff, especially that's Moorish birthright. Never, ever, ever did we do that. I was telling one of the Moors yesterday, even people are playing around with different names today, but when they had other names, they were telling us 600. They were calling us in Canaanland, telling us about, yeah, UCC birth certificate or whatever, thinking that we didn't already get the knowledge. That's BS. You're not going to play us. You're going to play us with PPSA. What do you mean PPSA? That's an act. You're talking about an act having to do with a straw man or whatever. When a straw man is their jurisdiction, then you're going to go claim that because your mom did a birth certificate and then that's a fraud, so that you're, how about just proclaiming your nationality like Noble Drew Ali said? And stop thinking that this is some type of club. This is not join up because we're a religious corporation. We're a religious corporation in order to engage the corporate jurisdictions that took over. We're not a religious corporation because we want to be that and we want to, have a number that they gave us to say that we're a charity so that we could do whatever. We don't want to do that, but we did that with strict reservation of our rights. We did that with putting in with that our warrant of authority that we got from the Moors who gave us our charter. We put that in with the letter that we got from them to say that we have, on top of the warrant of authority, a personal letter from the Grand Sheikh was needed, just to qualify that, we don't have to be in their jurisdiction. That all we're doing is setting up with you. We've already been established in Chicago since 1900s. We don't need no verification. We're just putting you on a little notice so that you know that everything's good. And they were like, yeah, everything's good. We validate the claims that these people in Chicago are making that you could do what it is that you're doing. Right? That we have our own jurisdiction. That's why we do how we do it, by donations. Because we're not going to these people to get stuff from them. We realize that as a corporate jurisdiction, they have certain lines that you can cross that allows you to, which reminds me, don't forget April 17th, quote unquote, city cleanup. So we're going to be doing our same session that we did last year. Everything's already set up. I'm just waiting for the contact for when they're going to put out the bags at the Civic Center. So they're going to put out bags and gloves and whatever at the Civic Center for all the organizations that are involved in the city cleanup, which is April 17th. And we're going to do the usual like we did last year. 5 principles, catering, lunch, and it's probably going to be, I think we did 10 o'clock or something last year, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock till noon, and get it done early, smash them early. Just a reminder on that. But there's a lot more.
Wow.
So just this perspective of, and you could also go into, the other Moorish mystery schools that you learn from. But your perspective of Canaanland Moors and the works that have been put in.
It's a lot. Now, the real quick, because you had mentioned earlier too, where you were reading um what the prophet had said, how this was a divine movement, and you started using examples too, in how flashing your nationality card in front of European and stuff like that. Like it's not about that, and um like I got like for example, like with that, like okay, like when I go to the store or like I'm out in public and whatnot in front of the Europeans, like when I like when I'm with my friends, they are already like, yo, you don't see how they looking at you. So like about the ID, it's not more of the ID because I don't have my ID then, and they are already staring at me because the turban and the fez, and he's walking around with crystals hanging around from his neck and stuff like that. Like so they know who I am already. There's no ID, and like today I brought my aunt grocery shopping, and I'm putting the groceries in the conveyance, and I can see all the old Europeans sitting in their conveyance just staring at me. They're just staring, all of them, like staring at me. And like when I go to the store, when I go to the thrift store, and I'm in the book section, Europeans always want to come over there near me and want to see what I'm picking up to read and stuff like that. They acting like they coming over here to pick up books. So I'm like, you guys aren't picking up. What you doing picking up a magazine about nothing? You know what I mean? Like you coming to see like what is this really a Moor over here in the corner? Like that's what you coming to see, and they're not asking for no ID or nothing like that. They know that's a Moor. Like when I went to the park one time and the European turned around and he said off rip he said it out his mouth. He said, "Oh, you're not a Shriner, you're a Moor. I'm Larry." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like that was like no ID, no none of that. And about like it being divine too. Um, okay, like like I do my little contract here and there and whatnot. But like I love gardening. It's almost time to start gardening. And like I need some compost. I need a bunch of compost, like a bunch of it. And so like it being divine too, because like it's not about the taxes and stuff like that. People be like, oh, I can just get the taxes off. I'm like, if you're being divine, you don't even have to pay for stuff. You know that like okay, like all this compost I'm getting, the guy that I know, I was telling him how I love gardening. This guy, we're going to work the next day. He pulls up in the pickup truck, flying down the street. I see him coming, and in the back of in the bed, he has it full of compost. He's like, what? He's backing it in. He's like, where you want me to put it? And I'm like, yo, where did you get this compost? He was like, and it was beautiful. Like, and I'm like, and he's breaking it down to me where he got it from because they give it out to the park for free during the like at the May 6th during the last frost. So I got it fresh still. And he said the guy was telling him this is like 200 notes worth. And I'm like, wow, man, like that's crazy. He gave me enough compost to almost do like half my yard. And I'm like, yo, this is way more than enough compost than I need. But all of this for free, and the material to build like the beds and stuff like that. The brothers from the east over there, I was telling them what I'm doing over here, and it was like, oh, we got wood in the back. You can just take it. Take it all. And I was like, oh, like where it is, like you come tomorrow, take everything. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And like the store is right there. So it's like I can see the wood. You know what I mean? Like, so all of that, and I didn't spend no notes. So it's like it no ID, no, oh, I don't pay no taxes, no nothing. Like I didn't even pay for none of that stuff. And and I'm like, wow, like didn't have to use no ID, nothing like that. Like I told Grand Sheik, I lost my ID. Like, but I'm good. I'm good, like I don't need it. Like if I have to go somewhere and I have to take off taxes, I'm gonna take them taxes off. Like it's gonna be. Like, but it's not always about that. Like, I'm not gonna be sitting there arguing over six cents. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing that. But because I had to go in on the divide because it sometimes it shocked me. I'm like, man, I wasn't expecting none of that. And then like, I'm thinking like how I'm gonna get this compost. Like I don't want to wait that long, and like how I'm gonna get the material. All that stuff is here. It's just here now already. Like here, like, and I'm like, man, like that ain't nothing but your ancestors looking out for you. Like, oh, you need that? Oh, here, boom. You need that? Okay, here, boom. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. Only thing I'm just doing is got the seeds, and I'm good to go. And free food forever. Like ain't none of that. Still right there. Another thing, like I don't have to go grocery shopping. Like remember, we vegan. You can grow all that stuff in the house if you want over the winter. But okay, and to go on with Canaanland Moors, like okay, with that whole thing with somebody saying they got charged or something like that, like how could like it's like backwards. Like how could like first of all, you never heard none of those scammers out there like Polite or anything like that have an interview with somebody explaining like, well, that's some BS. Like you ain't never robbed or did nothing like that with me. Like everybody always saying that they robbing and something like that. Like Canaanland Moors ain't that's how they're the and we learned that from Canaanland Moors because they're the bastards of exposing everybody who's charging somebody for birthright. Like you learn that from current Canaanland Moors. That's where you learn that. Like that's why I'm bugged out. I'm like, but we learned that from Canaanland Moors. Like that's like they teaches you every which way of how you're getting robbed for your birthright. This is what Canaanland Moors is basically all about. Like don't be getting out there getting robbed for your birthright, or to watch out for the sellouts. Like and then all of a sudden somebody's talking about 370. That's a weird number too, like 370. But what number is that? Like that's no number. That's not a. I don't see nothing about it. Like I'm like, okay, that's weird. So that right there, and then because I had asked the Green Sheet earlier, like where's the number coming from? And the so-called number, it's a New Mexico number, and I'm like, okay, that's weird too. Like, what do you mean you're from New Mexico? That has to be. It looks like a WhatsApp number, and I'm like, yo, that's somebody playing games. Like you can tell it's somebody playing games when the Green Sheet broke it all down. Like, which one is it? You lost your paperwork, and you need your paperwork back, or you got robbed getting your paperwork. Like, which one was it? Like, that's all red flags, antennas going up. Like, and then for personal examples, and I'm pretty sure there's other Moors like Jimmy and Mir, and they all can tell you that's some BS. That's not going down in Canaanland Moors. Like, and for example, too, like Canaanland Moors, that's the foundation. Like my son, I should go get my son upstairs right now because he'll tell you everything. We Grand Sheet, that's Canaanland Moors. He always, Daddy, you doing class? We listening to the Grand Sheet, and like, or like because of Canaanland Moors, my son, because Grand Sheet could send me something like, listen to this guy talking crazy. If I'm listening to it out loud, my son would come in the background out of nowhere. Daddy, that's a dirty Moor talking every time because he already knows because his foundation is Canaanland Moors. Like he listens to what we're talking about all the time, and everybody else who comes on here, Abdullah and all the other brothers, that come on here, and the mothers. He knows the foundation. So when he hears somebody talking crazy, he's like, or every us black people, quote unquote, and they not quote unquote, My son is already, Daddy, that's a dirty more. Because why is he talking like that? Why is he talking like that? Because his foundation is Canaanland Moors. You know, like my whole domicile. Because my Moabite's father owns the house. It's beautiful. You know what I mean? They live on the second floor. We live on the first floor. And we went to go visit her aunt yesterday, and to hear this man talk, because I get my foundation is Canaanland Moors, like, and for me, when we get the information, we tell people the information, and for me to have told this man this information like 4 years ago, and when we took that trip, it was like an hour away from there and back. To hear him talk and everything he was explaining to me, I'm like, man, he's on it. He's on it, but that's from Canaanland Moors. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't, he ask him if he ever got charged for anything from anything from Canaanland Moors. You know what I mean? Like, but he can tell you his foundation is changed because of what me and him have built on, you know what I mean? Which my foundation, again, is from Canaanland Moors. And everything, like, that comes from, I can't believe that man, and it's something to try to cause issues. That's why I love that the Grand Sheik, he gets his platform and he addresses it and exposes it. Like, no, you're not going to try to come in here with none of that. None of that. And opens the whole thing up, not just make it seem like it's coming from one angle. Like, no, this is the whole thing that happened. So, and if you are sending that, you're stupid because we explained to you numerous videos.
What do you get? Don't pay for your birthright. Don't pay.
Like, you're the idiot. Like, what are you doing? What are you, like? How could you listen to Canaanland Moors for that long and then go on there and be like, okay, this is where I need to go pay for my birthright? Like, what? You just heard what he said. Like, you're the dummy if you're paying for your birthright. And then it clicked in your head that this is where you need to go pay for your birthright. You're the insane guy. Like, that's why I know the whole thing is fraud. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, if that's coming from somebody who, I'm gonna show you how to get the money, to follow us, and it's like if it's coming from somebody talking like that, that's maybe, I can see you got robbed, and if the guy is sitting courtside seats with Mayweather, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, yeah, maybe you got robbed, or maybe, the guy's pulling up in the new Benz with the leather seats and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe you did get robbed. Like, but if the man is taking the bus to the Job every day, you know what I mean? Like, you might start looking at stuff a little bit different. Like, maybe he did it. I don't know. I don't know. You might want to go look at the guy with the new Benz.
Yeah, straight up.
Like, that doesn't make no sense. Like, that's how the stuff it's not adding up, man. Like,
what about
Canaanland Moors?
What about the aspect of, because I know you're a bookmark, so what about the aspect of studying? Like, how in your experience, the studying aspect of your birthright, like actually knowing the information, how's that impact your exercising?
Oh, that's a great question, man. Now, because you get, because listening to you guys, Taj and stuff like that, and studying, it's like, like, yeah, like, I'm a more like it's so crazy because, like, when you studying,
and you know, like, this is you, like, that's my people, my ancestors, and they talk, and like, this is, and then like when you go on, you're going out and you're in your culture attire, and you're going out and people know who you are, like people know, and like it's different, like that whole, because people start talking, like you might have conversations with conversing with people from other countries or whatnot, and for as soon as you start talking, and like the first time, I knew about that's Hindustan and not India, and like when I said that to a Sri Lankan, and they were like shocked, like how did you know that word, and looking around and stuff like that, like it's amazing, like because from studying, and then like like also studying, like when you start learning that all of those places are still here, and like being able to prove it, and seeing, like when you traveling, you see the signs, like that's, and then you like Salem, Salem, Massachusetts. That's not Salem. That's Salam. That's you know what I mean. Like you, because you've been studying, So like, and like another thing too is studying the prophets' works, because a lot of it with the prophet works, everything that I basically study, it just backs what the prophet already said, been said. So I'm like, dang, but it makes me like you asked me, how do I go? Because everything I do is studying. Every when I'm going out, it's study. It's study time. I'm studying. Like everything is study. It's not just books. Even though I love my books, I love talking about how I have over 50 dictionaries and stuff like that. But it's 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 just the collection, because I wanted to see how many different ways that I wrote more or black or more, and but the studying, man, going out there, just because you get information from everybody. Everybody's gonna give you information now because they know that you know. So people just feeding you information for free, and I love that, man. It's amazing. Like people should just be themselves and go out there, and interact with people, because it's amazing how you get treated because they know that you're a monk. Like, and I remember I was telling the Dan Street, it was a movie and about the Berber. Remember?
Yeah.
When the guy kept calling them Berber in the movie, and in the so called Berber goes, yo, why do you keep calling me Berber? And the guy was just looking at him. He was like, because in my country, Berber means free man. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But if I wasn't studying, I would have never knew that Berber, refers to the Moors. They're talking about me. You know what I mean? Like I would have never knew that if I wasn't studying. It would just been okay. They talking, when's the action going on in the movie? But that's another thing. But just because I'm always studying, and like the different esoteric sciences and stuff, like, and seeing like a lot of, as soon as you get those books, all of them tell you it was the Moors. They tell you the Moors or the Arabs. They like always, and just seeing like how a lot of this stuff was never really hidden. You just, because we thought we were black, African American color, we weren't tying ourselves to this ancient people, our ancestors. So we just left all that stuff to the side. But seeing how all of that, all those sciences, which was really like all of that Masonic, like it was more science. That's what it really is. It's really more science. It's amazing. Like people go crazy because but they took it and took oaths to hide information, but the sciences behind it. It's just more. It's more science. It's all more science, and all of that from studying these books, reading them dictionaries, like so you have history, law, and it was crazy too because that now every time I study, listening to the Grand Sheik, like when he's telling that story about Marcus Garvey and how he broke down how we're supposed to study, that every 6 months you should be relearning that the language that studying the language all over again. Like, and I'm like, and what? I need to be studying even more. And like I thought I was studying, I'm not studying. Like Marcus Garvey has a whole nother level to how we need to be studying. Like, so I can't wait to get into that in law. Law is that's the best. That's why studying law, going out there and interacting with the law. Especially like most of my issues was with my son's school because they love making sure that our children are under duress and corrosion.
Yeah.
But me personally dealing with colonizers maybe once or twice, but not really. But dealing with the school, it's always something. But when I start laying the law and everybody starts getting nervous, that's when nobody wants to bother me no more. So because studying law, learning from Canaanland lawyers, Todd's, having all of these books, different law dictionaries, law books, international law, and studying man, and especially knowing who you are with that, it's crazy, Grand Sheik, man. It's crazy how that goes. It's crazy, man. It really is. It's overwhelming. Like, because I never, and I said it was a great question, I never sat there and had time to think, like, how much have I benefited from studying? Like, I never thought about that. But it's like my house is a jungle now because of all my plants. It's crazy in here. But, plants are good for oxygen and stuff like that. But there wasn't no plants in my house. There wasn't none of this stuff. None of this. Studying, waking up. Remember I told you when I first woke up, I already lived in this house for 10 years. 10 years I lived in this house. But already, when I first woke up, the lady that lived here, she was a school teacher when we first moved here. So 10 years went by. I ran into Canaanland Morris. They started mentioning Todd's and RB Bay Publications, and we see the book list, and they start naming their books, and I'm like, man, I need to get some books like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm in my basement. I walk, going back upstairs, and look, it was a whole bookshelf, over 300 books already waiting for me. That's when I found 100 amazing facts about the Negro from J.A. Rogers. I already had Nature Knows No Color Line. I already had I had this Othello record book from like the 1920s about the Moors. I mean about Othello the Moor. She had a bunch of stuff. Dictionaries. I already had old dictionaries down there. Volume Collier encyclopedias down there, whole volume sets. Everything was down there waiting for me. Like, okay, here you go, go to work. Everything. Like everything was, but I wouldn't if it wasn't, for my foundation, it'd have been 15, 16 years. You know what I mean? It's me just walking by them books, like, you need to throw this stuff in the trash. But then all of those books, man, this lady had, I mean, I know it sounds, because we know stuff, but Martin, like when I read, she had collected every magazine from every so-called state every newspaper article of Martin Luther King's assassination. I got all of them, every one of them still. I got she did the same thing for Kennedy's assassination. I have all of his newspaper articles in here from when he got assassinated, from all the so-called different states. But she had everything. Everything was already here. I just got a couple of more books. But downstairs, like when I show my books upstairs, that's the books I had. All her stuff is still downstairs. It's still downstairs. All that stuff was still. But like I was saying, if I wasn't studying, I wouldn't have never been able to. I would have never ran into none of that stuff. Never. It had just been there. It's just been there. And especially like you know, how they just came out Canaanland Morton. But Canaanland Morton, like I'm home. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us being knuckleheads and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure the Moabite was about to get sick of me. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this boy is just not gonna nope. And then like boom, right on time. Like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Because you get the prophet's teaching, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know, but whole new foundation, you know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, I'm taking care because of studying, because of Canaanland Morton, because of Army Day publications, taking care of the Moabite home, not out there being crazy, studying, going over literature with my son, making sure but that's because my foundation is Canaanland Morton. I'm telling you, like, if it wasn't for the foundation, gone. I'll be like gone, man. And that was, like that's priceless, and wasn't charged a cent. Anytime I was charged something, I probably ordered a book, but got so much stuff that was ridiculous because I ordered one book. Because when you order something from Army Day Publications, you're not gonna just get what you ordered. You're getting everything. You send you a bunch of everything. You order one book, they send you a bunch of stuff to study for at least another 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the foundation. But in the book, 3-4 notes, 5 notes. I don't know what this 370 came for, and we're not even talking about books. We're talking about what we say what Canaanland Moore tell you not to do. He's talking about buying birthright. Like, that's crazy. Like, from the people who tell you not to do it, he's telling you that that's who charged him. But won't call, and then Green Sheik, you called them?
Yeah, I tried, but I ain't get no answer.
Oh, okay. Look, I know if somebody so-called owes me 400 notes, I'm going to be blowing that phone up for that 400 notes.
For 2 years.
Right. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. This so-called thing happened in 2017, 2018.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Man.
the thing.
But they just talking about it now.
Just talking about it.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it's not like it hasn't been put on the record. What to do moving forward. And then, that individual is not going to take the responsibility for them being incompetent, giving up 300 notes for some nationality paperwork or naturalization paperwork or whatever it is, the paperwork that he said that he bought. He's going to put the responsibility on us, because of some affiliation, whatever. Don't even go there. Because I'm not even playing that stuff there. Don't even try that affiliation, whatever. Because just like you're saying, you already know how we do. Like don't play those ones.
Right.
We have much sincerity in this. You know what I mean? I fear Allah too much to try play people for some notes. Forget all that BS. And as a GS sanctioning people doing that, crazy. I'm not taking people's karma. The hell out of here. You deal with your own stuff. I'm not taking your karma because I'm GS and you did some premature whatever. You're on your own with that. On your own. You know, there were some questions emailed.
It's crazy.
Crazy, bro.
Yeah, they had to do something. They said, you know how the Moors, they said the Moors fort was impenetrable. So they got to try to do something. They try to start from the inside.
Yeah. And they this was just an honors one. Islam to Sunlight Bay. I got that email, Brother Rock. I'm gonna get at you. Right now, someone says they came across a comment that said just add Eller Bay to the straw name instead of changing the entire appellation. You have thoughts on that?
Okay.
Like, okay, sis, let me correct it too. You declared and proclaimed your nationality as a non-European name, and then you heard somebody that's a Moor say, no, you don't have to do that. Just put Eller Bay on the strawman name to be a Moor. Should they change it and get stuff redone, or what they did before is what it is?
Okay. It seemed like that the person who he asked the question to, or gave him the answer, was trying to. It seems like either he was confused or he's trying to cause confusion. Because for him to say, "Oh, you don't have to do none of that. You can just no, you don't have to do none of that. Just leave it like it was and just put LO back." That sounds tricky. Like, what do you mean I don't have to do none of that? Like, no, don't do none. Like, he making it seem like as if because he did that, it makes him not a Moor. Like, he should have just left it John L. Now you're a Moor. That's fraud. That like don't explain it like that. Now, when you studying, we all know that okay, Europeans didn't have names in the first place, but at the same time, you also know John, like Those are those. That's a European name. This ain't Europe. Like there was Moors from over there who had those titles, but this ain't over there. Over here we had titles, Arabic titles, you know, and our cultural titles. I'm pretty sure. Montezuma never seen a billion in his life. You know, knew a billion in his life. You know, like that's not real. Like that wasn't the names that they were going with back then. But so that's why another reason why I corrected, because I already knew, like in ancient times, like you know, for like John, like there's no Jay's not ancient, so your ancestors never even heard of any name that started like that. Like that's impossible. So like, why wouldn't you want to correct that if you want to, take after your ancient forefathers and foremothers? Like you should want to see like, okay, how were they speaking back then? What type of titles were they using back then? To try to tie yourself back to your ancient forefathers and foremothers. There's no ancient Billy. You know what I mean? There's no ancient Billy L. Like that's not, or Robert L. That's not real.
Mhm.
You know, that's not ancient. It's not like there's no Jose L. That's not an ancient. It's not happening. You have to correct your title. That's how I look. Historically, that's how I would look at it. Like you would want to tie yourself to your ancient forefathers and foremothers. Why would you want to leave it? And then, but the way he's explaining it is as if you do that, that makes you not a Moor. How? How? Wouldn't that would immediately tie me back to my forefathers and foremothers? Even like now, stuff like I know more that do it, but even when I see it, I'm like, like I'm pretty sure he probably got another one he working on, or he just want to leave it like that. But I start looking, I start thinking. I'm like, why didn't he? I don't know the more, but usually sometimes I see that more have it like that, and then eventually they'll correct it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh wow, they changed that whole thing up.
Or they use it like even if they use it on the perspective of like recognition for the corpse, because they know that that if the people want straw, but you can give without straw, name capitalized with the L, with reservation of rights and slide through the jurisdiction. Okay, I see what you're saying, but you're still gonna have the free national backing. You're not gonna have the straw backing,
Right.
or the previous name with the L or Bay as backing, because that doesn't have the right to contract. That's not the full sovereignty. That's partial sovereignty, because the European and the Moorish names are both diverse in culture. So you're kind of still doing the Rome, if you leave it as that. And then, it could be also the jurisdiction, where doing that isn't even an issue. Because you know that the jurisdiction of Morocco is Els Beys, Days, Als, Alis. And ultimately, that's what it's. Are you one of the 5 civilized tribes? Or are you claiming allegiance with them? Now, once you have that European name with the El or Bay, you're ipso jure. You're a moral subject. And then could still have some type of ability to exercise some kind of rights. But your full capacity is correct everything. Ultimately correct everything. Ultimately get to that place where everything's getting corrected.
It's the way that guy had explained it. Like, oh, if you do change it like that, and you don't leave it the way it was and just put LOB, then you're not a Moor. You have to leave it the way it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You're, now you're a Moor. Like, okay, no, like that's not how that works. Like, oh, that was all, and then automatically you just changed, you just sold somebody's birthright again. By saying, oh, because of, because bloodline is what makes you who you are. By him saying that, like, wait a minute, like, so now I'm not a Moor because of that. Like, I'm still a Moor. I'm just trying to correct my title. I'm still a Moor. But he's saying no, you're not a Moor. Like that's somebody trying to play games. That has to be somebody trying to play games because I don't see how they can get that. How can they make sense of if you left your regular name as you had it, and then when you went to go put the L or Bay on it, now that makes you a Moor? I'm like, where does that say that?
Yeah.
The prophet said, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. No, that doesn't make you a Moor. Prophet didn't say that. You said that.
Yeah. Yeah, more. Yeah. Oh yeah, one more thing too. When you first started on RV Bay Publications, you remember where you started or how you maneuvered through the site?
Okay, because I ran into the site by listening to the class first. So like I got, and then the class I was listening to, it was telling you, everybody was explaining, start from the beginning, click the very first thing, first read everything on the front page, then click, they were breaking it down, and I'm like, okay, I'll make sure I just got lucky, I tell you that, I used to tell you that a lot. I'm like, Gracie, I got lucky, man. I didn't run into no dirty Moors. I didn't have to buy no packages. I never even heard of these people, so I ran into that stuff because y'all guys were beating them up. I didn't even know who these people were. You know, like I never ran into these people. Like I got very lucky, you know, because it was Taj and he kept clicking, you know, like because when I was searching, Taj was saying in the videos, you know, nationality is free. But when I was searching, I was running into websites that were charging, and I would just get them out of my mind, like click right out of it, like, oh, he's charging, this is something fake, like, cause that's what my thing was, it's fake, because they're charging. Obviously, this website has to be fake because you can't charge for nationality. So I'm still searching and searching, and then I ran into Blog Talk Radio, and then that's when they was breaking down class, and breaking down the website and how read the beginning, you know, and then at the same time I'm listening to your class and you're breaking down how before you turn in your paperwork, make sure you read it a million times, write it a million times, you know. And so I'm doing all of that, you know, like, oh, that's what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, that's what you better be doing that. So I'm doing it like everybody's doing this, you know, like everybody's doing this, you know. And then I started realizing, because, like, you know, listening to the show, like the mother said it the best, you know, I know when you're studying, I can hear it when you ask a question, you know. So, and I was like, I didn't ever want to be like that. You know, like I don't want to never wanted to be the one to ask the question. It doesn't seem like I've been studying. So I made sure I followed directions very good, you know. So I didn't, you know, because I know a lot of people be like, we just give out everyday publications, like just go to the website.
Yeah.
But like, if they would have caught the early Blog Talk radios, oh man. Like, that's what, remember I used to tell you, we should bring out some of the old ones. We should start playing some of the old Blog Talks, because y'all, I mean, you guys are still dangerous. But then, oh my goodness, it was crazy how y'all, it was like so much information. It was so much, like, you should have this, you didn't know about this, like, this law is this, and it's like, okay. And then we was using everyday publication, you know, and then, you know, doing exactly that, staying up. I mean, I stayed up for 3 days, and then just crashed, studying. Then just crashed right in my son's room. Crashed. Stayed up for 3 days. I never seen so much stuff in my life. Never knew about none of this stuff. Never. But then, like, okay, to be honest, I was on the front page for about, I'll tell you, on the front page for like a month. That's because I was trying to follow directions, and I'm like, this is impossible. How could you do this? You know, like, this is because I'm trying to study every word, look up every word, and you know, like, what it does, it's like when you do that, it's the wax on, wax off, and you have to have that. If you know, oh, Brother Yusuf said, you know, I'm just gonna, you know, skim through it. You gotta go through the wax on, wax off. You have to, because that's the only way you're gonna be able to break the boards. You're not coming in there just breaking boards.
Yeah.
You gotta get that burn in that arm and that shoulder. You gotta wax on, wax off. You gotta go through that. So you know, I'm going through any and every word. You know, like, wow, like, you know, looking up everything, anything, everything, anything. Somebody, I remember the mother said in one show, practice with the commercial mail that comes through. You know, like, every word that they send in there, get your Black's Law Dictionary and look it up.
Yeah.
And I did that. Man, all that stuff is criminal. The commercial ad stuff that they send you to sign up for, criminal. Criminal. But, like, by following directions, you know, and going through that, like, going on there now, the whole thing has changed. And then, like, I remember you saying that years ago in the class. Like, I go on there and there's stuff on there that I didn't even see. And then I'm like, I go through that, now, like I go on there, I'm like, man, what's this? This is different in here. Wow. Like, oh, I haven't been here in a while, but don't, this is, I guarantee you this, anytime it's something, it's back to the drawing board, Army Day Publications. That is nothing else. Anytime it's something to do with, oh, I got to write a writ, I got to go back to the foundation. Go right back to RV Bay Publications, the front page. Rereading, what is it? The writs. That's my favorite page. Just learning that.
Yeah.
About the writ section, like learning that, like that whole section in there was my favorite. Like the whole thing. The whole thing. And then running into nature too, listening to Brother Nature. Yeah. Remember Nature got a whole class about a writ and what's a writ. I think it's like 3 hours. So what's a writ? Not how to write it, just what it is. I'm like, man, this is 3 hours. No idea that was the writ, and I'm like, okay. And then reading Harvey Bay Publications, I'm like, dang. The power of writs is really where it's at. But that front page, man, I was literally on that front page for a month doing my wax on, wax off, because I was at the Job hurt, so I can do it. At the time I could do it. I could just sit there, and nobody's worried about me because I'm hurt. So I'm in the corner, so-called getting paid on the clock, just coming into work in the cafeteria with 4 or 5 dictionaries. People asking me, you in school? And I'm like, no. Like, I'm just studying. It's mind-boggling to these Europeans. Like, what do you mean you're just studying? Like, I'm not going to school. People been lying lately. And I didn't know it. But, studying for like a month. So I had the time, like just to read over and over and over again. That's why I keep saying I got very lucky. Very lucky. Like I was hurt and still can like get a so-called check or whatever, but be able to just study, like go to work.
One of the words said it's divine, it's not luck.
Right. Right, man. Because it really is, man. Because sometimes I'd be like, man, what if I would have got caught up in one of them polite, scams or, trying to like, because, when they sound great coming from no RV Bay Publications and Canaanland Morris' Natural Foundation, and you go straight to them. They sound great. They sound great. If you have no background of nationality and you already have law dictionaries and stuff like that, and you don't have that, and then you run into them, then you're going to be all messed up. All because, like, they sound real good. They sound real good with that. They had the attire, the fittage, the regular, the clothes, even though they had the skinny jeans. But they sound good, man. Sitting in their courtside seats. That's the illusion when you first coming in and you don't have no background. You think that this is where I can just know who I so-called am. Know a few things and stuff like that, and still do this BS. Like no, that's not. Like, and I really sit there and think, like, man, if I would have ran into it that way, like, that would have been crazy. Like, I love, like, that. As soon as I clicked on Canaanland Morris, first thing I heard, you want to be dumb nigger? I said, yeah, he's cussing people out in here. I need to be right here. You want to be dumb nigger? All right. I'm like, okay, this is where I want to be at, because I don't want to be dumb nigger. I don't want to be dumb nigger. Like that set in me hard. Like, yo, you want to be a dumb nigger? Like that's what you want to be? And I'm like, nah, not even a little bit. I don't want to be that. That made me sit down. Like that, I was like, damn, I don't want to be dumb. Like being dumb is different. Like people can do stuff in front of me, and I have no idea what's going on because I'm dumb.
Yeah.
I couldn't take. And then like, you know, you sitting there like, yo, I'm 20 years old. I don't know this. But to see my son, you know, when he was 7, he was talking like, you know, how we talk now. You know, he's already, you know, he's 11 now. Man, it's amazing. You know, Foundation, Canaanland, Moore's, Harvey Bay Publications, you know, Taj, Abdullah. Like the brother said, though, it was divine because, man, it could have, you know, because I remember another Moore, he had got caught up with Dr. Muhammad, what's his name?
Yeah, Ali Muhammad.
Yeah, and he was charging for packages, and I ran into him, and I was like, man, you ain't gotta pay for that. That's crazy. And then what it was he had to wait for some, like, to get his nationality package. He had to wait for like one of the moons to come, like third moon or something like that, and I'm like, what? Like, brother, like, and I'm sitting there like, nah, man, like, I'm a Moor, like, I don't know what you're talking about. like it's not that. Like, what is you doing? Like, nah, brother, you need to go to, like, and then I let him, and it was perfect with you. Another thing, Canaanland Moore. I played your joint, the Canaanland Moore versus Dr. Yeah. So I played it, and he heard it, and he's like, in awe, like, what? And I'm like, yo, because he was in it. You know what I mean? Like, yo, what do you mean? And I'm like, no, what does he mean? Like, you better watch that, man. He left that man right alone. I went right on the RV Day, Canaanland Moore. But that man, because, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy, you know. And then because me being so strong headed, like, if that was me, I don't even know how I probably would have, you know, like, nah, he lying, like he hating or something like that, and left him alone, you know, because I'm so strong minded. You know what I mean? That's why it only could have been divide for me, because I'm going too hard for anything that I know would have been right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What I thought would have been right. You know, because they, like I said, they sound good. They're real tricky. You know, but, you know, our foundation is, don't believe me, go look it up. Like that's the foundation I come from. Like, don't believe me, go look it up for yourself. Like, that's what our master teachers taught us. Like, yo, don't believe nothing I'm saying. Don't follow me. Don't believe nothing I'm saying. Go study. You know, and then, like, I love that. That's my foundation. Like, you don't believe nothing I say, prove me wrong. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one right there. Prove me wrong, yo.
Prove me wrong. And I'm like, oh, what? Brother, you sound crazy. And I'm looking at stuff, and I'm like, oh, impossible. Could be on Harvey Bay. Right now, he probably could be on Harvey Bay Publications 10 years now. Before, people used to be like, you can stay on Harvey Bay Publications for 2 years and not move. Yeah. It's probably like 10 years now.
Yeah, 10 years before you move. That's crazy.
It's probably about 10 years now. Especially, like, Because the way we study, you know what I mean? Like, you can be just studying forever.
Yeah.
Because you should have never read that excerpt from Marcus Garvey either.
Oh, the study one?
Yeah, never. You should have never read that.
And said, anywhere you're going, have something to read.
He has me looking at stuff different. I'm just shunning novels. Just shunning them like, oh, how dare you be a book? The Harvard just said, you're a waste of time.
Islam taught the Moors worldwide. Give thanks once again. Give thanks, Brother Yusuf.
Islam, give thanks to your platform. Give thanks to Canaanland Moors, everyday publications. Give thanks, man.
Islam. Peace to all the chat Moors. And again to all the Moors in Canaanland. Islam. Peace and love, Moors.
Give thanks to the Prophet.
Give thanks to the Prophet and the Honorable Marcus Garvey. Islam.